What would you do if the person you were supposed to help turned out to be the one holding a secret that could destroy everything? I used to think step-parenting was just about being patient, playing the long game, waiting for trust to grow. But the day I saw my stepson Jason crumpled on the back porch, cigarette trembling in his hand and eyes filled with something darker than teenage angst, I knew something was wrong. Not just wrong, dangerous. He wasn't just angry or rebellious. He was unraveling. And when he finally told me what was eating him alive, it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't school. Or drugs. Or even something he'd done. It was who he'd done it with . And suddenly, I wasn't just his stepmother trying to help. I was the keeper of a secret that could destroy our family, and my closest friendship. My name is Claire Martin, and if you'd told me 5 years ago that I'd be married to a man with a teenage son who hated me on sight, I probably would have laughed, nervously. I was a 32-year-old graphic designer, single and comfortably settled in my quiet apartment when Rob came into my life. He was 10 years older, charming in a dad who still wears watch kind of way, and carried a certain weight behind his smile, like he'd seen too much and learned to say little. Rob's divorce was fresh when we met, less than a year old, but we fell into each other quickly, perhaps too quickly. He told me about his son, Jason, with the kind of caution reserved for talking about a wounded animal. His going through a phase, he'd say, or he needs time. I nodded, said all the right things. But I had no idea what I was walking into. Jason was 17 when I moved in. Tall, lean, with dark, heavy eyes that carried years he shouldn't have had to live. He barely spoke to me, didn't acknowledge me as anything more than a disruption to his already fractured world. I didn't blame him. His mother, Evelyn, had an affair during the last year of her marriage to Rob. Jason found out, caught her with another man in their home. That kind of betrayal doesn't just wound, it infects everything. When Rob left the house, Jason stayed behind with Evelyn. It was his choice. Maybe out of loyalty, or stubbornness, or because he hoped she might go back to the way she was. But that hope didn't last long. Evelyn was emotionally distant, rarely home, and Jason started slipping. Failing classes. Hanging with the wrong crowd. Getting suspended for fighting. Then, last fall, he moved in with us. Permanently. Evelyn had met someone new. She didn't want me screwing things up, Jason muttered one day when I dared to ask how he was doing. Our house was modest. A 2-story colonial with squeaky stairs and warm light filtering through kitchen curtains in the late afternoon. It smelled like rosemary and roasted garlic most nights, and I tried to use food as a peace offering. But Jason never asked for seconds. Rarely even looked up from his plate. I thought if I gave him space, he'd come around. I left post-its with encouraging notes, waited up after school, asked questions without pressing too hard. But nothing cracked him. His silence was like fog, thick, cold, and impossible to see through. Until that one night on the back porch. The way his shoulders shook in the dark, it was like something inside him was breaking open. And whether he wanted it or not, I couldn't ignore it anymore. The screen door creaked softly behind me as I stepped onto the porch. The cool night air wrapped around us like a second silence. Jason didn't turn to look, just hunched further into his hoodie, the glow of his cigarette flickering like a warning light. I eased down onto the opposite side of the bench. Want some tea? He exhaled smoke, bitter and slow. Not really. I nodded, tucking my hands into the sleeves of my cardigan. Okay. Minutes passed. The porch light buzzed faintly, and a dog barked a few blocks away. It would have been peaceful, if not for the tightrope tension strung between us. You ever wish you could just disappear? Jason asked suddenly. The question hit like a brick. All the time, I admitted. Especially when I was your age. He looked at me, eyes rimmed red, not from tears, but something close. You. Disappear. Sure. When my parents split, I used to imagine I was invisible. Like if I vanished, they might actually notice. His lip twitched. A reaction. Small, but real. I don't think anyone would care if I did, he muttered, eyes dropping. Don't say that. Well, it's true, he said, his voice sharp. My mom ditched me, my dad's too busy with work to even pretend he sees me, And you're just being nice because you feel bad. That last part stung more than I expected. I wanted to protest, to defend myself, but something told me now wasn't the time to push back. I care, I said softly. And I don't just feel bad Jason. I'm here because I want to be. You don't have to believe that. But it's the truth. He stared at the ground, cigarette burning low between his fingers. I screwed up. The words were almost a whisper. I leaned forward. What happened? He hesitated. His jaw worked back and forth like he was chewing glass. Then, I slept with someone. I blinked. My heart skipped. She's older. Married. He laughed. Bitter. Real cliché, right? My pulse pounded in my ears. How old is she? Jason hesitated. 36. I inhaled sharply. Older. Married. 36. My stomach flipped. Jason, who is she? He looked at me then, really looked at me. His eyes were glassy, but clear. Not angry. Not even ashamed. Just, lost. She's your friend, he said. Lindsay. I froze. Lindsay. My Lindsay. The woman I'd known since college, who'd helped me move into this house. Who shared wine with me on our patio and swapped stories about our husbands. I gripped the edge of the bench. The porch swayed beneath me. No, I was swaying. I didn't plan for it, Jason rushed out. It just happened. She was over one day when Dad was gone. I was upset about school, and she just listened. She made me feel like I mattered. I couldn't breathe. I know it was wrong, he added quickly. I know she's married. And I know I'm just a stupid kid to her now. She won't even talk to me anymore. A sharp wind cut through the night, but it wasn't nearly as cold as what I felt in that moment. I don't know what to say, I whispered. He dropped the cigarette and crushed it under his shoe. I thought maybe if I told someone, you'd understand. Or at least not hate me. I swallowed hard, my mind spinning. A dozen emotions stormed through me, betrayal, fury, confusion, and something else, a deep, aching sadness. Because underneath all of this, Jason was still a boy, one trying to find love in a world that kept taking it from him. And he'd fallen into the arms of someone who should have known better. I don't hate you, I said finally, my voice low and trembling. But this is serious, Jason. You could get hurt. So could she. So could you both. I already did, he said simply. And I believed him. God, I believed him. I didn't sleep that night. After Jason went back inside, I sat on the porch until the stars dimmed into early morning haze. The silence around me felt like a scream I couldn't answer. Lindsay. Of all people. I replayed every memory we'd shared over the last few months. Her easy laughter, her long hugs, her habit of calling Jason handsome just a little too often. God. How did I not see it? And what was worse, did Rob know? Or was I the first one caught in this awful middle? I waited until Saturday morning to confront her. I told Rob I was going out for coffee. I didn't say with who. Lindsay answered the door in leggings and a cardigan, her blonde hair pulled into a messy bun like always. She smiled at first, until she saw my face. What's wrong? She asked, stepping aside as I walked in. I didn't sit. I couldn't. Jason told me, I said. Her expression didn't change at first. It was like watching ice melt, slow and quiet. But then the color drained from her face. Oh. That's all you have to say. She closed the door softly behind her and leaned against it, arms crossed. Claire, I never meant for anything to happen. I didn't go over there looking for that. But it did happen. She nodded, eyes glistening. Once. It was one time. I stared at her, disbelief rising in my throat. He's 17, Lindsay. I know, she whispered. Believe me, I know. You're married. I no. Her voice cracked then, and she wiped at her eyes angrily. You think I'm proud of this? I've been drowning in guilt for weeks. But I didn't know how to undo it. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. She sank into the couch, looking suddenly smaller. He was so kind, Claire. He talked to me like I mattered. Like I wasn't invisible. I didn't seduce him. He's a kid I snapped. A hurt kid. You took advantage of that. She flinched. I trusted you, I added, my voice breaking. I let you into my home. Into my family. I didn't plan it, Claire. That doesn't make it okay. We sat in silence for a long time, the weight between us too heavy for either of us to hold alone. I kept seeing Jason's face, how broken he looked. How much hope he'd buried in that confession. He still thinks you care about him, I said. Lindsay looked up, tears brimming in her eyes. I do. But not the way he wants me to. I ended it, Claire. I cut it off. I couldn't live with what I'd done. He's falling apart. Her voice dropped to a whisper. So am I. And I believed her. God help me, I believed her too. I left without saying goodbye. That night, I sat with Rob in the living room while Jason pretended to do homework upstairs. I watched the man I loved sip his beer, oblivious to the bomb ticking just beneath our floorboards. I thought about telling him everything. But how could I? It wasn't just a betrayal. It was a fracture that could split our whole family apart. If I told him, Jason would be blamed. Maybe even charged. Lindsay's marriage would implode. Rob's heart might never recover. And yet, keeping it inside felt like swallowing glass. I looked up at the ceiling. Jason was up there, somewhere, still believing I could help him. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure if I could. It's been 4 weeks since that night on the porch. Since Jason confessed and I learned a truth I never wanted to carry. I haven't told Rob. Not yet. Some mornings, I wake up and think I will. I'll pour the coffee, sit across from him at the kitchen table, and let it all unravel. But then I see Jason coming down the stairs, eyes still heavy, but a little more open, a little more present, and I hesitate. He's started talking more. Eating more. Sometimes he even laughs, the sound sharp and unfamiliar in our house but desperately welcome. He's healing, in a way. Slowly. Quietly. Like a bruise you stop noticing until it's gone. And me. I'm learning to live with the weight of knowing. Not just the secret, but everything it says about us, about trust, loneliness, and the strange, aching ways we try to feel needed. I still see Lindsay, sometimes. At the grocery store. At school pickup. Once, she smiled at me like nothing had ever happened. I didn't smile back. She moved out of her house last week. Word is, her husband doesn't know why. Maybe she told him. Maybe he just knew. Guilt leaks, eventually. Jason hasn't asked about her since. I think he's too ashamed. Or maybe too hurt. Maybe both. But there's something in his silence now that feels less like fog and more like distance, something he's finally trying to walk out of instead of wallowing in. As for me, I'm learning that helping someone doesn't always look the way you expect. Sometimes, it's not a grand gesture or a lecture or a dramatic intervention. Sometimes it's just being there sitting beside them in the dark, holding space for their pain without trying to fix it. But secrets don't stay buried forever. I know that. One day, this truth will rise to the surface. Maybe Rob will find out. Maybe Jason will finally say it out loud to someone who can carry it better than I can. But until then, I keep showing up. Because sometimes the only thing more complicated than betrayal is love. And all the places it takes us, wrong, right, or somewhere in between.